Hello, hello. I'm so excited for our first, lunch and learn. When we had these podcast after parties that normally happened in the evening on Wednesday, but today I decided that let's have it at lunch. Just some time for us to wind down, to ease ourselves into the weekend. And what better way than to refocus our mind really and have something substantial, something solid for us to think about as we venture into the weekend and as we just reorient our lives and preparing for a new week. I'm so excited to be doing this. When I made I don't know, call to arms. I don't know what it's called. When I made the call to arms, I called out to people and I said, okay, this is what I said when I called out to people. Is this you? Are you working in a technical consulting? Are you working a technical, traditionally safe job or corporate job, and you know that you're brilliant, you are talented, you're doing well in your role, you're getting paid well, but for some odd reason, something is missing. You just feel a disconnect between the work that you do in yourself. You just feel unfulfilled, as if there's more to you, there's more that life can offer. And quite frankly, you feel stuck. You're just like, there's got to be more, there's got to be better. And I need to find what that more and what that better is. And so we're here to really talk about my story of how I felt when I was in your shoes, of really the same emotions, the same thoughts, the same everything, almost, maybe even the same circumstances. So we're going to talk about that, my story, the lessons I picked up along the way, and what I found to be the missing piece and how life looks right now. And there's just so much that I have to share over the next couple of weeks. There's going to be so much that's going to be learned on these lunch and learns. I mean, I wouldn't call them lunch and learns if we weren't going to learn anything. So I don't intend on keeping you here long. I just ask that when you hop in, just tell me who you are and where you're from and what you're most excited about. All right. And I'll just hop right in. So as a kid, I remember I was the one kid who went to a Model C school, and all the other kids went to schools like Inaction in the township, because I grew up in the township. And so when I got back from school, when I got off the transport, I wouldn't even change my uniform. I'd call them all out, bring them to my yard and teach them maths and teach them English, because we learned English and they were taught other subjects in their mother tongue. And as for maths, a lot of people struggled with that, and I didn't really struggle with it. And so I put it upon myself to be the teacher of the school. And so we did that for a number of times. I would even buy toys. When we're done learning, I reward them with playing, and we would play with those toys and play games. During holidays, I used to be the one to facilitate Coca-Cola Pop Stars. I think the new generation know it as Idols, or it has evolved into Idols. We would play beauty contest, all those things really that pulled out the potential and the talent in people. I used to love doing that so much as a kid, and I didn't realize the value of how I was as a kid to what I am now, but we'll get to that a bit later. So that was me as a kid. That's how I grew up, essentially. And so whenever I would be asked what I wanted to study after school, I'd always say I want to be a psychologist, because I wanted to help people. I wanted people to be in their best place, mentally, in their best place emotionally, educationally, seemingly, because that's what I used to do. But I really just wanted people to be the best versions of themselves. And so I thought psychology. But then when the time came really where I had to pick a course, or pick literally a journey that I would have to undergo as a varsity student, I told people around me that psychology, and I got so much flack. I was essentially just told, Guti girl, actually, maybe not psychology, because you waste your brain, and there might be things that you learn there that contradict your beliefs. And I didn't want anything to stand in the way. I didn't know better. And now that I think about it, actually, it wasn't even about me wasting my brain as much as it was about getting me into a career that would be safe, a career where I wouldn't have to struggle after graduating, and really just have a guaranteed tickets into money. But that's something I'm going to talk about on my podcast episode on Monday. So stay tuned for that. Anyway, so when I then decided what to study, I went for engineering, mining engineering to be quite precise. And with that, I obviously had to apply for bursaries because nobody at home was going to pay for me. We didn't have that kind of money to take anybody like me to a university. And so I applied for bursaries. And there was one bursary that I was invited to interview with. And I won't say the company because I don't think there's a need for that. In any case, they go by a different name now. So I got invited for an interview with the company, and that first interview went brilliantly. Even the man who was interviewing me was like, I don't need to decide any further. You're going through to the next round, and even further to that, there's going to be like a mine visit where you can go. We'll arrange everything. I'll keep in touch. And with that, actually, what I'm missing out on is before I went to the interview, they had actually called me like a number of months prior, and they had scheduled an interview for Saturday. But here's the tricky thing: I'm Seventh-day Adventist, and so my mom said, "You're not going there. It's on Sabbath. You're not going to do that." And so I had to call them back to be like, "Well, it's not going to happen anymore. I'm not coming to the interview." And they were like, "Okay, cool." But I asked to reschedule, and there were just a bit of issues. I think I couldn't reschedule. But anyway, that was fine. A couple of months later, I think it was June, July, I went to a program that developed me for varsity essentially. And there were a number of other people from other provinces that had the same invites to the interview. So they called them and they're like, "Hey, we're arranging the dates." And luckily I got the opportunity to go as well. And so that's what happened. I went to the interview, and that's when the man was impressed. Shortly after that, I think the day I interviewed, a guy who was sort of like not in charge, but assisting the people who were in charge of the program I was in, came to me and said, "Hey, this Sabbath thing of yours, how serious is it?" And I said, "That's such a weird question. It's very serious for me. I mean, it's something I believe very strongly that God has instructed us to do. And so it's part of my life. I don't see any other way of living." And he said, "Okay, I'm not supposed to tell you this, but I want to tell you because I really think you need to know. The interview you went to, when everyone was done, they came together and they were talking about people they're going to move forward. And when your name came up, they said you might be a problem because further down the line, they'll require you to work on Saturday and you'll throw the Sabbath card to them. And so it's going to be a problem. They're not going to be able to do it." I cried so badly that day because I got an SMS a couple of days later that said, "Hey, we're just letting you know that you don't need to come anymore, whatever. And I tried to call and inquire, "What's up? What did I do wrong?" But I had that knowledge in the back of my mind that I was actually being rejected because I chose to stand on the truth that is the Sabbath and what I believed. And here's the first lesson that I got just on this is before even discovering my purpose or anything like that, but along the way, the road that led me here is that standing on the truth is your surest launch pad to freedom. And I believe it because here's the thing: had that bursary taken me for 4 years, taken me through school for 4 years, they were going to require me to work back the amount that they sponsored me for another 4 years. Now, I went to university between 2013 and 2016. And it would mean that 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020, I would need to be working in whatever mine they decide to take me to. Now, here's the kicker. I went on a purpose discovery journey in 2017. 2018, God revealed my purpose to me. 2018, I was preparing for that. 2019 is when I launched Purpose Practitioners Club. 2020 is when the company literally took off. So had I been stuck in the mine, I don't know how my journey would have gone. But because I chose to stand on the truth and I didn't neglect the fact that I am not going to compromise the Sabbath for a bursary, or I'm not going to compromise my soul for you to pay for me to go through varsity. God will provide. And indeed, He provided because I actually went to university for free. I had Cecil and Zala Foundation pay my fees, and there was no obligation. 4 years, and they said, "We were glad to have taught you. Go on and live." And they launched me into the career I have now because there was no obligation. So had I held on to that bursary and not stood on the truth that I know, I don't know what would have happened. But because I chose to stand on this truth, it became the launch pad to my freedom, the freedom that I now experience here. And so, as I told you, that Cecil Nzala Foundation paid for my university. In my first year, I got in first year and I was just like, what is going on? What the hell is going on here? Everything is just difficult. I remember I called my sister and I said, hey, I want to quit this thing. I know I want to help people and I don't see how mining engineering is going to allow me to impact people. So maybe let me go into law. Since psychology will waste my brain, let me go into law, because then at least I can defend the innocence and make sure that people are treated with fairness. All right. So that was me. And my sister said, no, there's so many other lawyers who've got degrees but don't have jobs. And it discouraged me against going or pursuing a law qualification. Let me tell you something that's very interesting. My sister, the very one that said I shouldn't do it, is actually completing her law qualification this year. How crazy, how hypocritical, but that's not where we are. It wasn't my journey to go. And so first year, I was just like, no, I don't want to do this. But you know what I learned? Your ability to see other possibilities starts with you admitting your reality. Had I not admitted my reality, I would say this is difficult for me. I know deep in my bones that there's something more for me, and this qualification just isn't it. This degree just isn't it. It allowed me to see other possibilities. I could see a possibility in law, and although at that time I was just like, I don't know what else to do, but it opened my eyes to the fact that there could be other things that I'm doing. But it started with me admitting my reality. And so if you don't want to admit the reality of what you're experiencing now, you're shutting yourself out from the possibilities that you could see. If you're in denial about your current work situation, about what you're experiencing, what you're feeling on a daily, what you're convinced of in your heart, if you don't admit that reality, the fact that yes, you're smart, the fact that yes, you're doing a good job, the fact that yes, you are getting paid well, but you're still unfulfilled, but you're still stuck, but something just isn't resonating with you. If you don't admit that, then you will never see the other possibilities of what you could do and what you could become. And that's what I learned from that experience, that I have to admit that mining is really difficult for me. Mining is not what I want to do. And that opened my eyes to, okay, if I'm feeling like this right now, it means if this doesn't feel like home, I will know when something feels like home. And years later, this feels like home. But I wouldn't have known that. I wouldn't have seen other possibilities had I not admitted my current reality. And so, needless to say, I didn't quit. I went into second year. Second year was a bit easier. I don't know if I'd gotten smarter or the pressure was released a bit, but it got easy. I mean, we had a few less lectures. Our days weren't as packed as they normally were in first year. And maybe I had gotten a hang of things and I was able to navigate my way around the degree and all of those things. So second year was easier. But I remember this one day in geology class, when my lecturer walked in, when none of my lecturers walked in, not a dog, I'm lying, but a tall Dutch woman. She came in and she said, oh, mining industry is in trouble. And that was because China was going through what they called then a meltdown. So China had halted what you call production or their industrialization or whatever. And so with that, they didn't need our minerals anymore. And because they didn't need our minerals, we were basically just producing for ourselves. Guys, can you see? You see, like, I'm getting bigger. Anyway, I'm getting distracted. I'm getting distracted by my own view on the screen. But anyway, she said everything is bad. The graduates that had gone out of the system didn't have a job anymore. And yeah, us who are in here are in trouble. We're not going to get jobs. Yo, you're panicky. And in that moment, people are like, yo, what are we going to do? I felt like a Jonah. If you read the Bible, you know there's a prophet called Jonah who was sent to one city and decided to run away to another city. The story goes that actually the city that God was sending him to, the people there had killed his parents. And so he felt like, why should I go preach repentance and the savior to people who killed my parents? He just wasn't for it. So what he decided to do then was to run away. And while he was away in that ship, God caused for a storm to appear. All right, God caused for a storm to appear in the ocean. And when the storm appeared, Jonah, he was fast asleep, and the people were like, hey, we are drowning. We are going to sink. Wake up and pray to your God, because they had tried praying to their gods, but it wasn't working. And so he woke up and he's like, I'm not even going to try and pray. I know that the storm is because of me. So throw me out if you want to have a smooth sailing ride back home or wherever you're going. Throw me out. And they did that. And here's the lesson that I learned from that. The storm within you is communicating a message. Your storm is probably hating when your alarm rings. Your storm is probably a toxic environment at work. Your storm is probably the thoughts in your head that are saying, no, something is wrong. Something is wrong. Something is missing. There's more to life. There's more to me. Your storm could literally be you knowing that you want to do a good job every day, waking up and resolving in your heart that I'm going to commit today. I'm going to do this and that and that. But the day passes and you can't even account for what is going on, because in you, there's this turmoil. In you are so unmotivated, demotivated. That storm within you is communicating a message. That storm for Jonah communicated that, you're in the wrong. Go back and do what I've sent you to do. The storm for me was communicating then that you're in the wrong place. You see, of course, the mining industry was not hinging on me. Of course, the mining industry was not hinging on me at all. It wasn't because I was in the wrong degree that things were falling apart. But the storm in me, what I felt was letting me know that something is in disarray. Something is not right. Something has to change. And so I want to say to you, the storm you're going through, what is it communicating to you? What is God communicating to you through the storm? What is God saying to you? Because you've got to listen to those things. You were never meant to weather storms, okay? You were never meant to weather them. So let it communicate to you what it's communicating to you. I was reading here a comment by Yumpumi who's saying, shoo! The storm is what, sis? The storm is communicating to you. The emotions you're feeling, the thoughts you're experiencing, things that are going on around you. Literally, the storm is communicating to you. I want to go back to something that Lola said. Understanding your reality will open your eyes to other possibilities. 100%. Uzanele said, truth. Admitting the reality is key. And so it believing for better. 100%. You know, when you admit your reality, you believe that there could be something better. There could be a home. There could be something better than this. And Umpumi earlier said, stand on your truth. Stand on your truth. This is so sad because I can't see wash hands. I am assuming that this is really just you clapping your hands to leave. I'm not sure what's going on. This thing is showing me rubbish things. Anyway, let's keep it pushing. And then my third year and my fourth year happened, okay? Third year was very, very tough. Third year was packed. And apparently in engineering, it's like that with every student. Third year is normally the roughest year. That was me in third year. Rough. In fact, I started developing chest pains because it was just so difficult. I started having anxiety. I started going through some mental issues because things were rough. But in my third year, actually second, third, and fourth year, something else happened. Are you ready to hear Ndabazam? Are you ready to hear the scoop? So something else happened. I fell in love. I got me a little boyfriend. Well, it wasn't little, he's bigger than me, but I got me a little boyfriend and I fell in love. And you know what? You know, when I was reflecting, because in fourth year, this guy and I broke up, right? But when I was asking God about what the point of that relationship was in my life back then, God let me know that it was so that my journey at Wits could be more bearable. I told you that there was a storm within me. Things were difficult at school. And I remember when I was dating this guy, I always made it a point to, at the end of the day, when he says to me, hey, how was your day? What did you get up to today? I wanted to have productive days because I wanted to have a good report to give him. So I'd say, in class, this is what I learned and this is what I did, whatever. I always wanted to have an impressive report to him. And so I gave school my best. And literally, God said to me, he was in your life then because I wanted to make the journey more bearable for you. And trust me, having that guy in my life really made the journey better. At least now I had something to look forward to in the day. It wasn't just work, 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 school, school, school. It was, and then on Mondays we have a date. It was really just nice. And so, yeah, that's what happened. But here's the problem with the fact that I was in love and things were nice and stuff like that. I realized at that time that I wasn't interested in hearing the message that the storm was communicating to me. I wasn't interested in finding what it was that I needed to do. At that time, Mpumi's laughing at little boyfriend. Girl, I got me a little boyfriend. Anyway, I wasn't interested in what the storm was communicating to me. I literally abandoned the fact that I need to find my purpose. I was just like, oh, I'll go through this guy, and I will get married as soon as I'm done varsity. Ooh, and then we'll figure life out. We broke up. All the things that I was planning to do with him in the future, down the drain. The fact that we could get together and discover things together never happened. And you know what I learned? To never postpone my purpose. The mistake that I made was I was postponing my purpose to a time I did not have control over. I don't control the future. I don't even know if I'll get to the future. So postponing my purpose in the moment was basically me having the audacity to say to God, you're going to have to wait. What you have in mind for me will have to wait until I decide that it's time, until I decide that it's convenient for me, until I decide that now is go time, until this and this and this happens. So I was postponing my purpose to a time I had no control over and to a person I had no guarantee would be in my future. I had absolutely no guarantee that that person was going to be in my future, but I decided that no, let me not even go on this journey. I will discover it later, at a later time with this person. Never postpone your purpose. You don't control the future. You don't own time. You don't even know who will be there. If you are postponing it for people who are in your life right now, would say, if you're postponing it for job security, you're postponing it for, I need this and this too, I need my ducks to be in a row. That's a grave mistake. Never postpone your purpose, because the God who gives you the purpose will enable you for the purpose. He will give you everything that you need for the purpose. You don't have to postpone it. In fact, I am warning you, never postpone your purpose, because that it just ends in tears. Okay, I know my heart got broken. I broke up with the guy. It ended in tears. 2016 was rough for me. It was rough. And I had postponed my purpose for a time I did not control, and a person I had no guarantee was going to be in my future. So whatever excuse you're holding on to, would say, I will get my purpose journey right when you don't have those guarantees, don't have the audacity, don't have the goal to throw God, to throw God's idea of you in his face. Please don't do that. I encourage you not to do that. Anyway, let's keep it pushing. And then 2016 came to an end and I went to VAC work, right? And VAC work, yeah, things were cool. I did well in my VAC work to a point where they actually offered me an internship for 3 years. And in March, the following year, I graduated. But here's the kicker. So now I'm done with school. I've graduated, or I was a couple of months from graduating. So I finished VAC work in January. They offered me the internship and I graduated in March, but I had to get a job because I was essentially done with school. Here's what happens then. So these people say to me, hey, here is your contract. I guess go through it. If you're happy with it, then we'll hire you. We'll get you in. And I looked at this contract and it was exactly, this is now employment contracts, 3 years of internship. This is an employment contract. And it looked exactly like the contract for my VAC work. The pay was the same. The conditions were the same. I was not going to get transport allowance. I was not going to get accommodation. I was not going to get any benefits. So your pension fund, your medical aid, all those things. I was basically going to still live as a student and have to find my way. This place was all the way in Carltonville. I live in Soweto. How was I going to travel every day? What was I going to use to pay for rent if I decided to stay in Carltonville? It was just a mess. And when I looked at this, another storm started brewing. And I was just like, Gaga de Vele, I knew that this is not it. And if I'm signing a 3-year contract, I'm basically doing what I escaped with that bursary, signing off 3 years of my life. And I went outside. I left the administration office. I went outside and I said to God, Lord, I don't want to do this. I don't want to take this job. The conditions are horrid. I'm going to be working underground. 3 years with no guarantee that this could end in anything permanent. I know that they are doing better for their graduates. Those graduates and me are on the same plane. The only difference is that they never paid for my school or my school fees. I don't want to do this. And you know what God said to me? Then don't. If you don't want to do it, don't do it. And I said, but I don't have a job. And he said, if you don't want to do it, don't do it. And I didn't. I went back and I said, I'm not coming back. Thank you for offering me the job, but this is not for me. And I left without a job prospect. The very next day, I got a call that I was invited, I guess, to another interview for a consulting opportunity, a consulting job. The beautiful thing is when I was still in varsity, I would tell people that I want to go into consulting and not production. So here was an opportunity that was being presented to me because I turned down what I didn't want. And here's what I learned. This is actually a quote that I learned recently. Your life is perfectly designed to produce the results you're currently getting. This is hard, right? It's a hard pill to swallow, but your life is perfectly designed to produce the results you're currently getting. Had I chosen to sign that contract and work underground for 3 years, my life would be perfectly designed because that is what I chose. That is what I would have chosen. But I decided I'm not going to do this. And so the design of my life changed. The results I was getting changed because I chose not to do it. And so if you're there at your job and you're like, oh man, something is missing, I feel stuck. Let me tell you, your life right now is perfectly designed to produce the results you're currently getting because you're designing your life with the decisions you're making, with the decisions you're not making, with the truth you're accepting, with the truth you're not accepting. Literally, the way you're designing your life and the results you're getting, there's perfect alignment. And so I will ask you, the results you're getting in your life, are you happy with them? Because if you're not, then you need to change the design. And changing the design means you need to change your decisions. You need to change your mindset. You need to start putting yourself on a path, on a trajectory that will get you to where you want to go. Because right now, as painful as your life feels, as painful as your current career situation feels, it is perfectly designed for the results you're getting because of the decisions you're making, because of the decisions you're not making. And I know it sounds harsh, but if you want a different life, if you want a different outcome, if you want different results, you're going to have to design your life differently. That is what it is. I can't say it's any smoother or any better than that. And that's what I learned. Had I chosen to go with that job, those 3 years were going to be perfectly designed for the results that I was going to be getting. But I said no, and I let it go. And so that was me letting that job go. And I went into the consulting firm 2017. Oh, had I known that it was going to be this difficult, I don't know what choice I would have made. But I'm glad that I made the choice anyway because I got into consulting. It's what I wanted, right? It was the end game for me when I was in varsity. But I got into the job and 2017 was the most horrible year for me. I was probably feeling like you're feeling right now. Something is missing. I'm wasting away here. What is wrong? Why can't I connect to this job? I had zero motivation to do anything excellently. Listen, I would even go to work in the most horrible outfits. It was a consulting office, but I would go with such ugly boots, such an ugly coat. Sometimes I wouldn't even comb my hair. I would wear a black beanie. It was just a mess. I was demotivated and I didn't know where to go. I didn't know what to do. In fact, I used to hate every time I hear somebody says, "Oh, living in your purpose is so fun. Everything is happening here." And people would find so much joy in what they were doing. But the problem is nobody would be sharing how they got there. I got so frustrated and I started an earnest pursuit and I prayed to God. I cried to God. I said, "Lord, show me what I'm missing. This huge gap within me that is not getting filled by anything, not by a relationship, not by money, not by anything. Get me out of here. What do I need to do?" And I went on a journey of crying, of praying, of reading the Bible, of trying to read books, of literally doing whatever I could to get myself out of the mess. And you know what I learned in that time? That God honors an earnest pursuit. Because from the time I started work in 2017, April, all the way to 2018 in April, God was giving me dribs and drabs of answers. But in 2018, when I was ready, when the students was ready, the teacher appeared and he gave me the blueprint. And my goodness, my goodness. I can't even describe the joy of God honoring my earnest pursuit and saying, "You've been on this for a year. You didn't stop searching. And here's the results. Here's the results of you not having stopped." And I know that some of you are feeling like, "Oh my goodness, what am I supposed to do with my life?" And you've been searching and searching and asking and asking. And if you're landing here, it means this could very well be God honoring your earnest pursuits. If you've been asking, "What do I need to do?" If you've read the purpose books or you've listened to podcasts around purpose or YouTube videos and you just felt like, then what? Like, okay, now I have an idea, you're giving me an idea, but what do I do with this? How do I actually put this into practice in my life? If those are the questions you've been asking, if those are the answers you've been searching, you've come to the right place. This is God honoring your earnest pursuits of, "Lord, show me a sign, show me a person, show me something." This is your sign. This is God showing you somebody who he gave the blueprint for, of not only discovering what your purpose is, but aligning that purpose to a profession. A lot of times people just throw out purpose and they're like, "Okay, just do this, then try this and try this, it will come to you." But nobody ever tells you, this is how you align it to your purpose, to your profession. This is how you actually align your career and your purpose. This is how you merge the two so that that missing piece finally comes together. The joy you want to experience in your work finally comes to you. The impact you know you're called to create, you can finally live it out. Everything in you that you feel that your job is stifling and not allowing you to be, finally you can express it in this profession that is established by your purpose or established on the premise of your purpose. And how to thrive in that purpose. I mean, God doesn't want us to be poor. God doesn't want us to go without. In fact, it is him who gives us the power to be wealthy. He wants to sustain us while we co-partner with him in doing the work we need to do. While we serve other people, we also get served, because life is an exchange. I give you something you need, and in turn, you give me the value that is due to whatever service I'm offering. You know, God honors an earnest pursuit, and he honored my pursuit. And Purpose Practitioners Club is basically God honoring that pursuit that I went through. And then, so when I really told myself, "See, I hate it here. I don't want it here. I need to do something," I started looking out for other career prospects and I switched careers. Okay. I switched careers and I went into banking, and that's when a whole lot of things came together. I understood a lot about me and stuff that I actually teach in our signature program called Purpose to Profession. It's things I teach because it's my journey of how I actually discovered my purpose, aligned it to my profession, and now I'm happier as a result. So I got to understand me. God clarified my journey. Literally everything came into place. Everything came into place. The pieces started coming together, but they wouldn't have come together had I not made the decision to make the switch. And guess what the lesson here is? Inaction is expensive. If you are feeling the way you're feeling, experiencing what you're experiencing, knowing what you know now, and wanting a different situation for yourself, but you're not really doing anything about what you want, I'm going to tell you now, and it might even hurt, but your inaction is costing you. Your inaction is costing you your peace. Your inaction is probably, your inaction is costing you your peace. Your inaction is costing you so much more joy. Your inaction is costing you freedom. Your inaction is costing you impact. Somebody is not getting served because you're not taking action. Somebody is not getting served because you haven't started on your purpose journey. Somebody is getting robbed because you're not in position. Somebody is seeking answers because you're not giving them the answers. You're robbing yourself. You're costing yourself so much more. You could be making more money by using all your resources, all your talents, all your skills, but you're stuck in a place that is only using one. You're stuck with an employer that knows how to capitalize on your one skill when you could benefit from everything that God has given you. Your inaction is costing you, because inaction is expensive. And I love saying this because I've learned, even from small other things, I've learned that inaction is expensive, and I don't want you to continue in inaction. All right. So as I told you that in 2018, God revealed the blueprint to me. I just want to read all the stuff here. 2018 was the year for me to learn and develop. When he revealed the blueprints in 2018, I literally took time to say, okay, now put the pieces together. Gamnand, you've given me a skeleton, you've given me a blueprint, fill it in. And God filled it in, and he filled it in. And I was developing and learning. I took up coaching. I read books. I started listening to podcasts. I literally did so much because I wanted to know what to do with each of the pieces that God gave me. I prayed about it. I got knee deep into the Bible because now I had direction, right? It wasn't just a purpose in the book. Now I knew exactly what to look for, exactly what to do. So 2018 was my year of learning and developing. 2019 was the birth of Purpose Practitioners Club. I registered the company in November the 11th of 2019 as a PTY Ltd, and 2020 then became the year where I had to put everything that God showed me in the years into action, and we developed Purpose to Profession, which is our signature course, a signature program. And yeah, so we developed that, and it's something that I was working on since discovering what I needed to do and putting it together. And there were different iterations, but in April of 2020, that's where then I started taking action, and I started seeing growth, and the joy was restored in me. Suddenly, I didn't hate going to work anymore because I knew that it wasn't the final destination. It wasn't the final destination. I was called for so much more. And I understood that my employer is my investor. So I took the money that I was earning and I put it into this business. I invested in learning programs. I invested in websites. I invested in equipment. I invested because I've got this job. And if it doesn't serve anything else, it serves the purpose of being my investor. And that's something I want you to do as well. Allow for your job to be your investor to get you to where God wants you to be. That's what I did. And the clarity, my goodness, the clarity of my life and what it means and what I need to do, unmatched, unparalleled. I started seeing myself create impact because I started taking students in April of 2020, and people's lives were getting changed. Their mindset changing. They rediscovered themselves first before discovering what God had for them. They rediscovered themselves. They fell in love with what God created them to be. They got to learn their strengths, their gifts. They understood that their story has got something potent for them, something so significant for their purpose and their future. They suddenly got a blueprint of, okay, this is actually what God has called you to. And this is how you start. These are the steps. This is the direction. And I thought, my life is creating impact. This is beautiful. And I got courage. There isn't any other place in the world where I exude and I stand on so much authority and courage as I do when I do work for Purpose Practitioners Club. In the bank, I do things because I can, because I'm competent. In Purpose Practitioners Club, I'm not only competent, I'm in my zone of genius. I'm in my zone of excellence. I am so courageous. I am so confident. I am free to be and do literally everything that God designed for me to be and do. And that's what started happening. The action that I took led to my growth. This was in 2020 and 2021. We are focusing solely on sharing this blueprint that was given to me by God. I had other programs and other courses and other things, and God said, shut everything down. This is the blueprint I gave you, and this is what you're going to be sharing with everybody. And we share that blueprint in Purpose to Profession. It is a course that could take you anything between 3 months and 6 months to complete. And I just love walking people through the journey. Everything is there, the material is there, and I just decide to coach you for 6 months because that's what I love to do. So that's what God said to me. 2021, rather, you focus on this blueprint. It is what I gave you, not all these other things. This is what I gave you, so this is what you focus on. And that's what we're doing. We're going full steam ahead with what God shared with me, with what God wanted my life to mean, and for the message that he gave me to carry to the world. And you are my world. I guess you are the person that I'm called to impact. And so finally, I want you to do something. I want you to take an audit of your life, okay? Take an audit of your life right now and ask yourself these questions. Are you happy with your current station? Are you happy? Do you believe you're where you're supposed to be? Are you still feeling like something is missing? Are you feeling like you're stuck? Are you feeling like there's more to you? Are you feeling like there's got to be better? Are you happy? Because God wants us to be happy, whether we believe it or not. Are you finding joy in the work that you're doing? Are you where you are supposed to be, doing what you're supposed to be doing? Are you there? Take an audit of your life because it's very important that you do. Very, very important that you do. And if you've come to this place where you're taking an audit and you're like, I am not happy, something is missing, I lack motivation, I know I'm brilliant, I know I'm talented, I know I can be excellent, but where I am right now, I can't be any of those things. I can't be any of those things. I encourage you to book a free consultation call with us. When you get on this consultation call, I want to understand where you are versus where you want to be, what your vision is, what I can help you with, and how we can start you on a journey to joy, on a journey to freedom, on a journey to real security in your purpose, on a journey to impact, on a journey to sustenance, on a journey to living the life that you were designed to live. This is basically my story, and these are all the lessons that I picked up from the story and things that God showed me. And I want you to experience joy. I want you to get unstuck. I want you to live the life that you know you are called for. I want you to use all your gifts, all your talents. I want you to know what your strengths are. I want you to fall in love with yourself again. I want you to bring God glory with your life. I want you to be in agreement with God, to have him hold your hand and walk this journey with you. That is my desire for you. That's what God has commissioned me to do for you. So all the details, the link to booking your free consultation call is in the description box. Click that link, book your call. I take calls between Monday and Thursday, 30-minute calls between 5 and 6. So book your call and let's start your purpose journey. I hope that you learned something from this. I hope it has inspired you. I hope that it's lit a fire in your bum and you're going to get up and take action, and that you're actually going to start on the journey that you deserve to be on, to find joy in the work that you do, because that is your heritage. If you learned anything from this, just for comments to let me know that you've heard me, to let me know that you are tracking, to let me know that you are going to take action and that you are actually going to start on your purpose journey and live the life that God always had in mind when He created you. Let me know quickly before we sign off. And if you've got any questions, actually, please drop down the questions. I can stay on for another 2 minutes before I have to rush off to something else. I can stay for 2 minutes. Drop your question. Give me your feedback. Did this help? Did it not help? Did I waste your time? Did I not? I hope I didn't. So drop your comments in the comments box. Let's stay on for another minute and a half. And if there's no question, if there's no comments, we will sign off. You are going to have a beautiful weekend. And I hope that in the weekend, you take an audit of your life. Are you really happy? Are you creating impact that you know you created for? Do you believe that you've reached your cap or that there is more? Do you want more for your life? Take that audit. Are you where you are supposed to be, doing what you are supposed to be doing? Take an audit. And yeah, actually with my purpose to profession clients, we do a full life audit where, like, from the time you were a baby to now, we ask so many questions, we unpack so many things, but really just so that we can get clear, we see what are the clues and the signs that God had been dropping to get you to a realization of your purpose. So let me know. Ulola is saying, this helped me a lot. Now it's action time. Please take action. Please take action, because if you don't take action, the results you're getting is because you have designed your life that way. It's in this thing. Let me look for it again. Your life is perfectly designed to produce the results you're currently getting. So if you're not happy with the results, change the design. You change the design by changing your mindset and taking the right action. Okay, so I'm happy that this was meaningful to you, Lola. She's saying thank you. It is my absolute pleasure. You are more than welcome. Okay, so I love you guys, and I hope to speak to you on your consultation call. From me, Chief Purpose Practitioner, have a lovely weekend, and thank you for joining me. Bye.